Hello all, and welcome to the zoo.
Why am I here?
Minions of the Zoo is a lovable ragtag group of misfits that sprang up initially as a fan group to Ranting Monkey, Scribe-Light, Some Dumb American, and their joint Lords of the Night livestream show. Late night discussions in Discord quickly evolved into streams of their own, with each member bringing something new and different to the table for discussion. Led by the incomparable Reject PPC and the One-Ton Hammer, the group rotates hosts known as Zookeepers.
Hello everybody and welcome to Minions of the Zoo. I'm your host for this evening, One-Ton Hammer.
I will be your zookeeper tonight, Reject.
Alright, and welcome to the zoo. I am the Lucky Pop-Tart
Inquisitor. Sanguine.
Skep Tock.
I'm Prospero.
Fat Platypus.
Chaosy.
And I'm Della Hazed.
Regular streamers, they're known as minions. And special guests are known as traveling exhibits. They're on a nightly basis, so that each show has something unique and fresh for our audience. Minions of the Zoo currently streams at 10:30 Central Standard, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Super Sunday Show. I'm your host, Mr. Adam, and I'm grateful to have with me JenTMaxi.
Hello.
And Sanguine.
Good evening, all.
So, how you two doing this lovely Sunday afternoon?
You first, Jen.
Overall, I'm good, but I'm kind of weirded out about the fact that the Pope is in Edmonton right now, and my Prime Minister is being severely gross in front of him, which I'm okay with that, because I don't really like the Pope. I think they're both kind of fake, to be honest. But they're there to apologize to the Native community for those naughty schools that our liberal federal government hired them to host.
Wait, they're doing like a tour?
Yeah, across Canada. I don't know if it's all the way across Canada, but they were like, yeah, we're going to start in Edmonton. I'm like, I hate to break it to them, but the worst schools were in Ontario.
Also, wasn't Edmonton the one that they originally were going, oh yeah, we think that we might have found a mass grave, we need to exhume it in order to see? Then they exhumed it. Yeah, it turns out not a mass grave.
Nope. Jeez. It was just a grave.
Yep.
What a way to break the fucking start of the show.
Sorry, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna share the stream, and then you know what Twitter did? Twitter was like, here, Jen, here's some lovely garbage for you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm gonna share that with everybody, because that is my quota in life. If I see something nasty, I have to share it with everybody.
You're a godsend, Jen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Misery loves company, after all.
But in regards to, just short little in regards to that, I'm just going to say, like, I'm not saying every kid that was buried in those graveyards was buried because of natural means. There's actually several reasons why they could have. One, a lot of them were from the era of influenza. It's actually, if anything killed them, it might have been influenza. Or it could have been neglect, because if there's one thing I do acknowledge a lot about our schools when it comes to what they did to the natives, a lot of it really had to do with neglect. Simply put, a lot of those kids were probably neglected. I'm not saying all of them died for that reason. I'm just saying a lot of it could be that. Other reasons.
There's also a high chance of polio and the pox.
That too.
Yeah, I think
I'm just using influenza as like bracket example, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say that there's a chunk amount of people or children who've died from influenza, but there may have also been, nefarious stuff too. I think
I believe they should be investigated. That part I agree with. Like,
yeah, we should.
You know, because we don't know. Like, what if there was some kids that were beaten up? I would like to see the adults who are responsible held accountable, since I know some of them are probably still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Not many. They're dwindling. But yeah, if you know that there's some 80-year-old who was killing native kids, I want them in jail because they were killing children. I don't give a shit what they came from, whose parents they were. You were killing children. Go to jail. That's how it works.
Jen, you fucking came out the gate fucking swinging.
I get really mad about that up here. You gotta understand that the minute you start pointing fingers at me and telling me, oh, I'm okay with native kids dying, I usually get really mad because I think native kids are cute.
Well, sure, but...
Now, if they were ugly, then fuck those little bastards. They deserved it, apparently, was what I just learned.
Yeah, well,
you should hear that, but I haven't encountered an ugly native kid yet.
I saw 300. They get tossed off the cliff. That's what happens.
No, as yet I have yet to meet a kid who's native who I wasn't like, oh, you've got the cutest smile, you know? They're nice kids. I do resent our federal government for a lot of shit that they did. But here's the thing. They haven't been doing that since 1996. I'm almost in my 40s. What they have been doing is fucking nothing.
Also, the 1996 school is not the same as the 1920s school. And it's very important to know that difference, because the one that is always pointed to as, well, residential schools were being made right up until 1996 when the last one closed down. The last one was requested by the local group of natives because there was a school in that area that they wanted their children to go to. That school didn't have boarding facilities, and the natives were spread all the fuck over the place. So they requested that school have a boarding portion made. The moment that school had a boarding portion made, it was then, by the definition, a residential school. So it got tagged into the, yep, this is just another residential school for natives. When, no, that one's an entirely different thing than, like I said, the 1920s residential schools.
It's absolutely disgusting what they're doing. Like, it's sinful, because it's not just attacking the white kids. I know it absolutely is going to affect the white kids at some point. But the people it's tanking the most, it is the native community. It always is. So while they're distracting everybody with this crap, they actually do have stuff current today that does affect the native community. Like the fact that our government still technically does a child grab. You know, the amount of times they take children from parents when they don't need to, like when there's nothing wrong with the situation at home, but they just do anyway for minor reasons, just because you know that they're doing it because they're native. You don't get those stories unless you talk to people from the community, and they're afraid to talk to people because they'll talk to the wrong white person who'll just like take it out of context and go to somewhere to protest, you know? Like, I don't know. Our situation up here with them, it's just all stuff that's probably fixable if the people we employed to do it would just do it.
Do you guys also have effectively state-mandated socialism on reserves?
I wouldn't say that. If anything, it's really about the native communities themselves. Like, they have a tendency to go for the free programs. They do. You know, I don't know if it's because they feel like they can't have anything else. You know, so they'll fight to the death for those just because it's how they need to get by. But a lot of natives like want to get away from that shit. Like, most of them do.
Well, I'm saying that in the U.S. we have what is effectively state-mandated socialism. The federal government owns 95% of reservation land. It allows leasing sometimes of that land by individual people, but if that person who leased the land dies, it's mandatory fractionation of that land. Are you guys familiar with what fractionation is?
No.
Fractionation is when it is mandated that every one of your descendants inherits an equal amount of that land. So if you have one kid, your kid gets all your land.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 7 kids, that land that you owned or leased as a single person, because again, the vast majority is not actually independently owned. It's only about 5% is owned by either a council or by an individual. The rest is owned by the federal government. Some of that's leased. If you have a lease on your land, the land that you had a lease on, one person had a lease on, has to be divided between your 7 inheritors.
That's answered for you, or for me, and I appreciate him for it. He said private land ownership isn't allowed on reserves up here.
Oh, up there, it's not allowed at all? Okay, yeah. That is the same shit as here, effectively, because like I said, it's only about 5% of res land is still owned by one native or one family of native descent, which is a large part of the issue, because if you don't own the land, you can't really develop it. You have to request for permission to build this or that. They also control what businesses are able to function in the reservation.
Yeah, it is the same problem up here. Like, because there's so many who would like to do their own stuff and they can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it even down to the oil wells. Like, I'll just go straight there because it usually does go there at some point. There are plenty of natives who are like, hey, yeah, we'd like to work with that stuff because it would get us a really, really good paying job.
Mm-hmm.
And it would feed all our kids, and it would allow us to have the income to actually build infrastructure, so we don't need to rely on these assholes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, you know, teach a village how to fish so they can all feed themselves instead of just giving them shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can't give them shit. It's like the water up in Flint. There are tons of people who would happily give them that water, even for free. We've had people go up with the intentions of giving it to them for free. But because of the land shit issue that they keep pulling, you've got babies who are showering in acidic water.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look at me and they're like, see, this is your fault. And I'm like, no, actually, if they lived in my province and they lived in my city, I would happily let them use mine. Because the idea of a child having chemical burns on their skin is not okay with me. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have the means to do that. You know, I know plenty of Calgarians who would sign up for that, sure. They'd be like, yeah, if you want to come use our shower, we're Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, you know. I've encountered this stuff before. It's like 2010 is one of my examples. Because we had a really bad flood back in 2010. You know, we've had some since then, but that was probably the worst one since then. And we knew right away that the native reserve that's next to our city, it's a part of the city technically, that they'd be boned. So we donated so much money and food and clothing. They didn't see the money, but at least they got the other 2 things, and they got so much clothing they had to send it back. Like, hey, we appreciate you guys, we love you, but, you know, we kind of need housing more than clothing.
I'm trying to remember which West
Hold
Coast.
on. Can I quickly interject here? Jen, did you jump on the show tonight with with the intent of such activistic
No.
assertions or
No, you absolutely can blame Twitter 100% for that. Seeing the Pope in Edmonton with my Prime Minister practically kissing his feet was just enough for me to be like, right.
no, just because I don't know, you seem very passionate about it. I mean, I'm looking at what I had written down for what I wanted to talk about, and I'm like,
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
No. Well, I'm like, damn, I should have probably should have looked at more some actual news.
You really should have, or at least been like, hey, we're gonna talk about this and this and this. I mean, we were there for like 15 minutes. Yeah, Twitter is evil. I'm just saying, if you turn it on for 2 seconds to share a stream for somebody, it will completely rearrange what you were thinking about before.
But Adam, if you at any point do want a conversational change, I can very easily revert the conversation back to where we were starting, because there was a slight deviation from the norm. So
Hold on. Did you put
norm.
a quick save somewhere?
Effectively, it's in my head. I can immediately revert back.
Well, what were we talking about before?
Oh, you want to quickly go? So my day went fairly well.
Let's go.
Yeah, my day went fairly well.
I'm just gonna put on something. It's just a demo. Just to have image in the background, because I don't want to have another stream of just the logo. But go ahead, sir.
My day went fairly well. I just finished making dinner here a moment ago. By the way, that was the segue, because we left off by asking Jen how her day was, and I was going to be going next. Never got to me. So
I know, it's amazing.
like I said, I remember things. So even going into that full conversation, I still remember. I was able to make my dinner tonight. I did country ribs that I rubbed with some bourbon and molasses seasoning, then cooked in a pan a little bit before whacking it in the oven. A fantastic baked potato. Did some quick pickled cucumber and onion, and then some bourbon finished mushrooms with an Angry Orchard green apple cider on the side.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought about you a couple months ago, Sanguine. Mostly because I was taking the piss out of the Brits that I know. But my store started carrying this this product called mushy peas in a can.
Yep.
Mushy
And I was
peas in a
like,
can.
out of all the things to send you, that just to get the question mark and the why, Jen, why? I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just things in a can tend to taste like things in a can.
There's certain things that you can do canned that turn out really well, like tinned fish onigiri. Tastes really damn good. And no, Terry, the coconut nut is not a nut. It's the cocoa fruit. It's the cocoa fruit.
Why would you start
of the cocoa tree, of the cocoa tree, of the cocoa palm family.
Damn it, Terry.
On that note, I'm gonna take it on a side note, and I'm only bitter about it because I have to stock the shit. But coconut water, completely pointless. Send it back. It's nasty. Yes, it'll hydrate you. It'll hydrate you really well, but it still tastes like ass. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's a taste that some people have and some people don't.
That's why you probably should put that lime in that coconut so it doesn't taste so much like the coconut.
Yeah, you put the lime in the coconut and you drink it all up. You put the lime in and drink it all up. I said, doctor, can you tell me what to do? I said, doctor, to relieve this Fiji flu. There are too many songs that I can immediately go into that are based around coconuts. Because the moment you start counting, I have another one as well. But yeah, it's...
Do you have another coconut song?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give it a twist, a flick of a wrist. That's what the showman said. I got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Hiddly-dee, here they are, standing in a row.
No. Big ones, small ones, some as big as your head.
Yep.
Yeah, I had that in my head ever since Zasu sang it to me the first time, and I was like, fuck you, Disney, for being evil.
Yep.
Literally the first time. I was a small child. I was like, this is gonna haunt me for life.
And then you heard the real song that you never know when it starts and when it ends. It's always in the middle, which is It's a Small World.
Well, hey, okay, I'm gonna try and interject some news bits here, but did you hear that they're changing? I guess they had a fairy godmother thing, and now they're fairy like attendants or something like that. They're trying to interchange the.
Oh, they're trying to neutralize the gendered language?
Yeah, and it's just kind of weird because I'm like, how long until we start seeing like, and yes, I know people are going, oh, I can't believe you're saying this, but how long until we see a black Cinderella, you know, and we're gonna see her hanging out. Not that I'm gonna say I'm gonna be objected to it because
I think they already have.
have they?
I think it was a black Snow White.
Was
Oh,
it
okay.
like a park character?
Let me quickly double check. I'm pretty sure that there was a black Snow White not terribly long ago.
I mean, not that I'm opposed to it because again, they usually find the some of the you know, they find the very attractive ladies to do it, so I'm all for it. You know?
Oh no, I have an absolute problem with a black Snow White, and that's the origin of Snow White's name.
Oh, hey, well,
It's
but you know
not
what? If
just-
she wants to take pictures and you know,
It's not just that. It's
Say
the
hi to
fact that
Adam
the left is
and-
doubling down so hard on giving northern
maybe
folk
hold my
tales
hand.
to black people, and I don't have a problem with them acting out parts. It's just they actually have their own folk tales,
Yeah, well,
and they ignore the fact that they have their own folk tales, and therefore, like, how many people in the U.S. are black and don't know they actually have their own folk tales?
Well, I was.
I'm tired of
hold
whispered
on.
folk tales. I want to hear new ones.
Hold on, Jen.
So it wasn't a black Snow White, it was a Latina Snow White, and it
Yeah.
was in the
well, I
Snow
mean,
White and the Seven Dwarves that Peter Dinklage tried to get canceled.
come on. When you're talking Latinx, there's a wide range of skin tones. You know, there's some Latins that still hold on to their Visigoth type lineage, where they're blonde hair and blue eyes and shit. So, you know, come on.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
She
though.
is not
I'm
of the
getting-
boys from Brazil
I'm
families.
I know. I know it's you know going beyond.
And
what-
yes, that was the random Nazi connection.
Oh no.
I think the point though, Mr. Adam, is if you knew that the Spanish already have their version of that, like they have a version of Snow White, they have a version of Cinderella. A lot of Hans Christian Andersen folk tales are ripped off from other people.
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying more of in terms of Disney would be looking at it at one point as they're trying to portray the characters as much as possible. So they wouldn't if they were gonna have a guy walking around as Gaston, they wouldn't have him a blonde hair, blue eyed guy. You know, they try and get at least have black hair or a wig, whatever. But you know, they try and portray the character because these are the characters.
That still would have been natural though, Mr. Adam. White people have black hair. We also have brown hair and red hair and blonde hair. And sometimes you get the odd weirdo who's just so freaking white that you're like, you poor bastard.
Jen, are
Again,
you
my
trying-
entire problem with the Snow White not being white is the origin of fucking Snow White's name.
the both of you, too,
First-
are you?
Skin was as pale as snow, hence being Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Okay, so I guess racist Muppet we should probably skip over.
It's not racist
No,
to
no,
point
no.
out
I'm
that-
trying to find the next story to talk about because I'm like, damn it. I didn't think you
It's-
guys take it this way. So
Well, no, it's not just that. Like, to be honest with you, Mr. Adam, if I came from that
why do you
community,
keep? Okay, you know what? Look,
I'd be offended because
Look,
they're not
sweetheart,
willing to
it's-
tell my stories.
it's just Adam. Okay,
I know,
you don't have to say
But
Mr. Adam.
but it's fun to say Mr. Adam.
If you're gonna say Mr. Adam, you better have an accent because it. And Mr. Adam. Yeah, exactly. Don't just Adam. It's Mr. Adam sounds weird. Ugh. No, oh man, now I gotta change my name.
We keep talking this way, and you'll start being referred to as Herr Adam.
Hey, Adam. Hey, that's like a cartoon character. Okay, but okay. So, what I was trying to get at with this was going to have you seen the depiction of Namor in the new Black Panther trailer?
I have not.
Jen? Or
Nope.
Miss Jen? Mr. Jen? Missy Jen?
I don't have that name though.
And Kyler, there was actually I want to say it was a Fleischer cartoon, was it not, Adam?
What's that?
Coal Black and the Seven Dwarves.
Possibly.
I think that was a Fleischer. Let me quickly double check.
But you know what? You look it up. We'll come back to it. Let me change up the game so it's not getting bad. But no, apparently Namor in the new Black Panther adaptation or movie, he's based on what looks to be a collection of not only so far Mesoamerican culture. So they showed a lot of art and writings, and a lot of it looked like Mayan writing and art. But a lot of the wording that they're depicting with these characters is Nahuatl, and that's not what the Mayans would have spoken. So it's like a weird, and I don't know if it's true. It's just something that a grouping posted. They're happy that it's it's Aztec flavored type of stuff. But apparently, one of the major city-states that he comes from, I don't know if they're saying that it's going to replace Atlantis, but they're saying it's Tlacopan, if I recall correctly, Tlacopan, and that's a paradise from Mexica culture, and it's just, I don't like how they group it all together. And that's why
They just slam all the Mesoamericans together and go, it's Mesoamerican.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, no, that's the same thing. It's like, dude, that's obviously Mayan writing. It's like, oh no, it's they're brown people with loincloths, so they're
Yep.
they're the same thing. That's why I was goofing on a Twitter post, and I'm like, I can't wait to see where they involve a llama or some other Peruvian or Incan culture signifier that they can put in there. I can't even like pull it out of the top of my head without just being like, I can't even describe it because it's just it's something I can draw.
We keep seeing this happen because there's been the motion for ages of pan-nativism. Are you guys familiar with pan-nativism?
I've heard of it
Hold
before.
on. Is that you, Eve?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I was sitting there like,
it's been so long, Eve. How have you been?
I've been alright. How about you?
Oh, you're kind of roboting. Are you?
Sorry, I'm on the road right now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
If I robot out, just kind of be like, hey, we can't hear you.
A likely story. She's really been infected by the technovirus.
Well, I was, you know what? I was hoping that Eve would drop by because it's been a while since I've chatted with you. And yeah, I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing good.
Pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
That's good to hear.
It's been working a lot.
That seems the common story for many people.
Well-
Getting fuck ton of work and kind of knackered due to it.
Yeah. The heat isn't helping. It's not.
Mhm.
Wait, are you Canucks getting heat too?
Oh yeah, we
Oh.
do. I mean, it's not as bad as what you guys have had, and my province has gotten off a little bit lightly, but I don't tolerate heat past like 25 Celsius.
What's that improper freedom?
I think that's like 74.
Yeah, I'm about the same. If it goes much north of 68, it just starts sapping everything from me.
I usually just do everything in the morning and then just try to do my best to hibernate for the evening until it goes away. And then I'm like, oh, good, it's good.
Yeah, it's been pretty hot and like a thick heat. You know, you can feel it. You can cut it with a knife. type of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that humidity
Yeah.
humidity up there, especially where the fuck I am. They weren't shitting you when they said it's the land of 10,000 lakes.
Yeah, and all this exasperates out in front of you. Where you
Oh,
traveling around, Evie?
Huh?
Where you traveling about?
Oh, all over the place.
Nice.
I'm driving the semis now, so can you hear me?
Yep, we
Yeah,
can hear
let's
you
speak
again.
a bit.
You warbled out there for a bit, and then you snapped back in with the, "Can you hear me?"
Yeah, I said I drive semi for a living now, so I'm all over between like Chicago and Salt Lake right now. Mostly now.
Yeah,
So you go north and south, huh?
Say again.
You traveling north and south.
Between Chicago and Salt Lake mostly right now.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Nice.
to comment on what Kyler said, yeah, you can call me a wimp during summer. Let's see winter and how low I can go versus how low you can go.
Right?
Oh, can you get?
Hello, can you go? I stand by what I said though. I have to hammer on Monkey about returning that snow that I lent him last year. He's been really late on returning it, and I kind of want it back now.
Mm-hmm. Because wintertime, there is not a point where I go, you know what? It's too cold.
Yeah, I as much as the heat is bad, thinking about the snow, I'm like, oh.
Oh, see, I love the cold. Remember the polar vortex that we got hit by a few years ago?
Yeah. There was many dangerous times where I was going out and trying to get a Subway sandwich, and these people would come out and be like, "This is mega country," and they
These Nigerians talking about MAGA country.
dude. And they were really buff for some reason. I don't know why. They were probably working out right before, and they came out and they were like, "Hey, give me that Subway sandwich. This is mega country." And I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. I hear that was a big problem in Chicago.
Yeah. It's every other block.
Yeah. Everyone, of course, knows Chicago is absolutely the MAGA stronghold. So, during that polar vortex, there were a week where it was like negative 48 with a negative 60 wind chill near me. And my winter attire for that was a pair of gloves and a windbreaker.
Damn.
Of course it was, because you're retarded.
Because I'm a giant
mean-
fucking dwarf and it doesn't bother me.
There comes a
cold-
certain point, Sanguine, when it doesn't matter how it feels to you. You need to start watching out for your biology. Because your
Yeah,
body
my
will start
biology
freezing
was
up.
fine. My body was fine. My body handles cold like a fucking champ. It hates the heat. The heat kills me. I'm pretty sure it's all related to the temperature regulation part of my brain being on the fritz when I was young. I don't think that it ever quite got back on track, and it's just gone, okay, cold, no lower limit. Hot, what are you thinking, like 65?
It's a drastic change, though, isn't it?
Oh, like, if you compare my range in temperatures that I can deal with, I have a fairly large range. It's just shifted way the fuck down.
Look, my range is like 60 to 65. That's about all you're going to get out of me.
Yeah, whereas my range is like negative 48 to 60 something.
I can tolerate other temperatures. I just won't be happy.
I start to break down if it goes much above 70 or 80. To include the most interesting adaptation that my body has developed when it comes to overheating. If I overheat sufficiently for a sufficiently long period of time, my body tries to exsanguinate me in order to cool.
Hence the names.
Well, then I would be Exsanguine rather than Sanguine Mathghamhain. It's the cheerfulness that causes me to be sanguine.
Just a cherub-like nature.
But, yeah, if I get too hot for or if I get sufficiently hot for too long, my body will just decide, hey, what if we just vent copious amounts of blood out the nose? Eventually the body will cool down. So I get these interesting nosebleeds that will last until such time as I cool off.
Well, hey, speaking of cooling off, I did see some people saying for the people in Europe, try and keep a cool wet cloth on your neck.
Mm-hmm.
To try and at least keep your brain cooled, because the rest of your body will take care of itself to a degree.
Yeah, they're getting hit by a brutal heat wave, and a good chunk of Europe doesn't have American level AC.
America.
Been talking to Sam, and he's been like, "Yeah, no, we're just kind of adapt because AC is like really expensive over here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can imagine."
Yep.
Even just like a little window unit, which a lot of us take for granted over here, several $1,000s over there.
Yeah, and it's nowhere near that. Hell, I have a good-sized portable one that is less than $1,000, despite being able to do like 800-something square feet.
Yeah.
So you got to be like right on top of it. What do you think about? I've seen some people like make little tents where they had the cooler, and then they have like a light bed sheet, not a heavy bed sheet. I don't know if a heavy bed sheet would probably be better, but what they were saying, like a light bed sheet, using it as a tent, and the cool air just kind of circulates in between that, and you just
you reduce the area that you have to cool down. So it's recommended that if you're in a heat wave and you're trying to remain comfortable, what you do is you shut all the doors of rooms that you aren't using, and you limit the AC to the areas that you are using. So if you have like a attic storage that is also hit by your AC, turn off the vents in your attic storage. That will become swelteringly hot, but it makes it so that your AC is able to more easily cool your area. And if you're just worried about being able to sleep in a comfortable temperature, then close your bedroom door, or like you said, make a even smaller area by making a makeshift tent and just worrying about cooling that tent.
Yeah, just focus on the little area.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably.
You have to be careful with that though, because a lot of people don't realize things that can be in their house that can be damaged by excessive heat. So.
Yep. But if you have the option of couple things that you own getting damaged by the high heat versus you dying due to high heat, better to risk your shit getting damaged.
Fair enough.
So I don't know. There's probably a like a full break stop, but I did have some things I wanted to talk about while we were on the show. So I don't know if you're interested in hearing it, if you want to participate, but I have a...
Absolutely not. I want to hear anything you have to say.
Well,
it's totally why I'm here.
Unfortunately, Evie, this involves you. So...
Oh no, what have I done?
First things first. So I've heard wind that Chaos Eve, at least that's what they say, is a really nice lady. But it's no, this.
Why you lying to them like that?
No, I want to talk about two things. One, this goofy image that I keep seeing about like design for I guess barbarian creatures, and then the other thing was this Rippaverse. I've addressed the Rippaverse before, but now he's gotten to 3 million, and he's still
good on him.
Well, no, good on him, but he's still bitching about all the haters. I'm sitting there watching. I just saw him on Fox News, I think it was, and he's complaining about I look at it and I'm like, oh man, I really hope for the artists and the writers and the colorists and the inkers, for all their sakes, I hope that this comic does good, that it's able to go somewhere other than just being a constant activism type shit, because that's what it's looking like right now. It's like, it looks like it's just, we're not injecting politics.
Yeah,
but that's the politics of it.
But Mr. Adam, when you're getting payments from your customers through PayPal, and you've got people who can actually get PayPal to stop paying you.
Oh yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, I saw this the video where a whole bunch of and you know why they stopped it? Because he's talking about the politics. That's 100. And I hate to be the oh, that was a weird Joe Biden thing, isn't it? Let me tell you something. The reason he's not getting his payments from PayPal is because he's talking about the politics. He's talking about
You'd need to add in a few more not words into there.
Hold on, let me tell you about Corn Pop. No, but it's...
If I could describe America in one word, it would be awesome.
Come on, man. But no, but that's honestly, like, that's why he's getting a lot of this blowback, is because he keeps talking about the fucking politics bullshit. That's why they're attacking him. It has nothing to do with nobody even knows what the fucking story is about.
Well, no, it does have something to do with the existence of the comic, because
it means something.
It popped up during the Comics Gate.
Yeah.
And it was the Comics Gate comic book was how it was being marketed to a certain extent, that it was a comic by people that enjoy comics for people that enjoy comics without all the bullshit of the industry.
But that's what I see where the anchor comes from, is he's trying to use it as a means of, hey, check out our comic, we're not trying to inject this stuff, but at the same end, he's not pushing the comic, he's pushing, hey, we're not injecting political shit in our comics. And this is where it's getting the blowback. This is why, like,
look at how not woke we are. Look, I mean, it's just as bad as the people who are claiming how woke they are.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but what's the comic about?
It's like, look, we said something racist. We're so not woke, and it's like, yeah, but does it make the comic better, or did you just say something racist to be racist?
Exactly. So, and
like, if it makes sense in the story, fine, but calm down.
Well, it brings me back to a lot of these indie publishers. What I've been seeing is a lot of times it's not so much telling us that they're here's where this first hump of a story went, and now here's where the story's going. Oh my God! Here's a new character that we're introducing. Oh, this character he lost an arm, and here's what was. It seems to be a lot more of, here's a campaign for a new variant, or here's a new campaign for a new story arc, or it's like it's never finished. It seems like they want people to pay into to them just being able to start it. They don't even have a story or anything. We're paying for them to do that, and it's like, well, shouldn't you already have that shit done? Shouldn't you have at least a baseline of what? Like, I don't know. I'm looking at it from a design aspect, and this is going into the smaller bit, the armor bit. But as a design aspect, I'm looking at it as, I would have wanted, because okay, here's where one of the strategy that he had, Eric July had, that I agree with, was get it done, get all the shit done before you bring it to market. But it doesn't seem that he really has that done in terms of the comic. He has it done in terms of all the material bonuses shit. For me, I'm looking at it as like, dude, I would have had the whole fucking first story arc done and then started working on the second one just in case. Hopefully the first story arc does good. So that way it's like, when people are starting to get the books, they're 1 or 2 books in, but there's already like 18, 20 books that are already done in terms of the story. The art
at
may
least
be
have
done.
the background for or not the background, but the work that you do in order to make sure that once you actually start the book, it is able to be finished quickly. Have the story, the outline, all that good shit done, so that once you can actually afford to start work on it in full, you're able to immediately launch into, here's everything that we need in order to have the story laid out. Let's get this shit going.
But it should already be done, like at least the skeleton of the story, so that
That's
way.
what I'm saying. The outline and all that shit.
Yeah,
everything that you need in order to just hit the ground running once you have the funds in order to do so.
Yeah, so that's why. Like, I think last Monday I was probably bitching about it, and only because it's like, damn it, dude. As somebody who's trying to get into this thing too, it's like I see what you're doing, but I'm seeing the square units or the square formations that are forming up over on the right flank. You're fucked. You're like you're not doing. But it's it's one of those things where he's going in it right off the bat to see if it catches on, and if it doesn't catch on, well, we'll go somewhere else. But it's no, you should have your core structure and your story first as a creator. I mean, that makes more sense to me. You'd want your story and everything around that, and then from that, then you can branch off and start, trying to gather support for that structure that you've been building on, as opposed to, here's the idea that I have, and let's, maybe it'll work out. No, you should have confidence in your shit. Like, that's, I mean, I don't know. It's baffling to me. But when I saw him on Fox, and he wasn't talking about, he had the perfect opportunity to be like, hey, here's the character, here's the story. He says Ripper universe, but it's just one, as far as I see, one character. So it's like, you should probably talk about the different universes that you're talking about in terms of the larger. as a publisher. Again, but it's just more of the, oh yeah, you know, these people don't want to see a successful black guy, you know, in comic book publishing, and they don't want to see, you know, different ideas other than blah blah blah. And it's like, dude,
he's riding off the controversy rather than talking about what he has to offer.
Yeah, that's
the problem. Is that's actually what seems to be pushing anything nowadays. I mean, even our own last election was all about, you know, when Biden was elected, all the Democrats that were up there in the Democratic National Convention that were talking about running against Trump, all they could talk about was how bad they needed to get Trump out of the office. They couldn't tell you what they were bringing to the table, what they were offering, what they were, you know.
That's not entirely accurate because they could. It's just all of it was god awful.
Yes. They just didn't, though. All they talked about was, yeah, we need to get Trump out of office, and everybody cheered. And it's like, okay. The only one who actually got up there and seemed to talk about anything that didn't involve Trump was Tulsi Gabbard. And she's been shit-canned so bad, you know, nobody wants to even acknowledge she exists anymore, you know.
Yeah, but the thing was that the problem that the others had is they could talk about getting Trump out, and that was popular. But if they talked about what they actually wanted to do, and the few times that they did talk about what they actually wanted to do, it was extremely unpopular, and it was obvious that it would result in really bad shit happening.
It's just activism.
It's one of the things that pisses me off every time that people are talking about, well, how would have we known that Biden was going to do this? And I'm going to... He said he was going to.
Yeah, he pretty much
He didn't say it would have the negative response that it did, but he said he was going to do this. When he said, I'm going to reduce drilling for oil, I'm going to reduce refining for oil, I'm going to reduce pumping of oil in the United States.
In all fairness, though, I mean, I think we can all place the blame on Fat, okay? Because he challenged Fat to a push-up contest, and Fat didn't oblige. And
Fat should have obliged.
Like, hey, listen, Fat, you better do this push-up contest, or I'm gonna stop this drilling. And Fat's like, well,
and I'm going to go a step further. Not only should have Fat engaged in the push-up competition, but also Lying Dog-Faced Pony Soldier.
Yep. Oh, dude, yeah.
No idea what the fuck you guys are talking about now.
So, during the election run-up, Eve...
So lost.
During the election run-up, Eve, Biden kept on insulting anyone that asked him a question. So, at one point, there was a dude who was kind of on the big side, but not morbidly obese. He was just a big dude.
He was a coal miner, right? He was... Yeah.
He was just like a blue-collar Mo, just asking the question, saying like, hey, during Trump's time in office, things have been actually fairly decent for us. I think it was about the economy, actually. I think he was saying that, Trump's been in office. The economy's been pretty good for at least me and the people around me, and we're all blue-collar workers. So why will your plan, or how will your plan benefit us more than Trump's plan has? And rather than responding to the question, Biden said, listen here, fats, and challenged him to a push-up competition.
It's so weird.
Wow.
At another point, he was asked another question about, I think it was about his previous comments on black people. This was when he called the woman who asked him the question a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Good old Biden.
So anyway, to bring it back around to what the point that Adam was trying to make, it's basically the same thing where it's like all they can talk about is the one, talking point and not actually tell you what substance they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if there is anything of substance to bring to the table at that point.
Yeah.
If they even have a story to tell you, because it seems like they're just going off of the controversy.
And what benefit would it give you for causing the controversy as opposed to, you know, diluting the story? But again, hey, you know,
At the same time, this was on an interview.
oh,
It could have just been him doing that on there because that's why they invited him on to talk about it. They invited him on to talk about the backlash. Has he not said anywhere what the plot summary of his comic is? Because if that's the case, then I would absolutely agree. If it's that, well, when he's on the news to talk about the backlash that he's talked about the backlash that he's received. Well, yeah, that was why he was on the news.
no, yeah, it was pretty much. I mean, I didn't watch it. I've been trying to not watch any of these videos. I've been going by what, you know, the headlines. I hate to do that, but at the same end,
Yep.
I also don't want to give them views. But what it seems to be, yeah, it's he's riding on the whole. Look at these guys are saying that if I have a black character, it's woke. Oh, automatic, it's not woke. It's like, dude, who is the character? What are his fucking powers? Like, where did he come from? Like, what is this? Like, you should be talking about your stories and your character and your world as opposed to all these people who are bitching about, because they're not gonna fucking buy your comic anyways, dude. Like, what the fuck? Why even deal with these fucking people? But then,
But the thing is that is a way of getting the funds that you need. If
and
you're able to
that's
point
but that's where because I saw what's her shit, her Twitter account is something monkey. I always see it and I always think it's ranting monkey, but it's not. I think it's random monkey or something like that. And she does YouTube videos, and she made a comment about this where it was like, "Oh, you want me to talk about this dude and his overpriced comic?" And it kind of made me think. It was like, yeah, dude, like this dude really is selling a comic, quote unquote. I guess I don't know what the book is, because again, I think it's more he's selling art pieces and posters and buttons and all that, and activism, like, because that's what it seems to be he's selling. Like he's on the news and he's talking about how people are. And he's the next Candace Owens, you know, type of shit. And it's like, well,
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, and it's like, well, but what's your comic book about? Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand why he's talking about any of this shit. Why would he even address it? Especially with...
Candace Owens is such a liar and a backstabber and just a fucking chill.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you're running off of the tabloids. And it's like, okay, cool, but for me, I'm looking at him like, dude, I feel bad for the artists and the writers and the colorists and the inkers, because hopefully they find some work outside of this, because it looks like maybe after this, we're going to see another campaign of, hey, let's try and get another 3 million to get another book 2 of whoever this character is. Get that out.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that I've seen other comics that have done similar things.
Yeah.
Ethan Van Scriver did his Cyberfrog comic. There was a couple of them that were literally like, you know, Patriot comics or something that were very much more Republican oriented, in my opinion. And they actually, you know, had stories. They took the controversy, but they wrote a story. And, you know, it's one of those things of, you know, give us a story to read. You know, I don't care about what your politics are or aren't. I care about reading a good story.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of trying to figure out, because, like I said, if it was everywhere he's just talking about the controversy, then I can definitely understand going, what the fuck? Why aren't you talking about your comic? But if it's just when he's on the news, he's talking about the controversy, well, that's why he was brought onto the news.
It seems like what Adam's saying is it's everywhere. Like,
No,
it's just like you can't seem to find information about what the comic's about.
It,
Other than,
well, you
here's one
can,
character.
but you have to dig deep, and that's where it's like, dude, as where I'm coming at, like, as a creator, I wouldn't want any of the controversy to be out in front. I'd want my work to be out in front, like that. Even if the controversy is rising, that's like, okay, even more so. I want to throw my fucking artwork out there. Oh, hey, check out my more shit. You know? Like I was saying, I think last Monday, it was, once he hit 1 million, he should have started putting video after video of his artists and his writers out there saying, hey, this is the character. This is the story. I did see some of the artist's work where he did time-lapse bits, but it's like, I have no idea who any of these characters are. I have no idea what any of this shit is. You're just showing me a time lapse, and I follow a lot of artists. I see a lot of time lapse. It's like, this is nothing new, you know? So this is like, you're not selling me on the comic. I'm not an activist. Yep. I'm not going to purchase your shit because I want to support, you know, anti-SJW or whatever. If I'm going to buy a comic, I'm going to support a book, I want to make sure that this is something that's worth supporting, that's worth the money. I don't want a poster. I don't want buttons. I don't want special collective trading cards and bullshit. If I'm going to buy an art book, I want to support the art in the art book. I want good work there. 100% there. Not any of the fluff. Unless the fluff is,
unfortunately, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the fluff seems to be getting what
that's what
people
they do.
are buying.
And that's what he even he posted a video and he's like, check it out. Look at this warehouse. We have all this stuff ready to go, and it's all the posters and shit. And it's like, this is not the comic book, you idiot. It's like, I thought you were selling a comic book, not fucking art images. Like, get the fuck. You're no better than GameStop selling NFTs of the fucking Falling Man. Go fuck yourself, you know? Like, the fuck out of here. And yeah, I said it. I probably shouldn't have said it. But
that pacing just reminded me of the high anxiety. I got it! I got it! I got it! I don't got it.
Ah, damn it. Nah, I probably went that was too far. It's not the same. GameStop selling that shit is that is way over the line. Whoever okayed that should be kicked in the teeth. But but yeah, no, it's the same end. I see it as it is a grift, you know, because he's not.
Oh, I definitely get where you're coming from, and the only things that I could say is, like I said, if it's nowhere, then yeah, that's a big problem. And the only other defense would be if it is something that, to try to really explain the story, you end up almost ruining an aspect of it that you want to be preserved early on. Because there are some stories where if you tell the overarching plot, you kind of spoil it right away.
Yeah.
I could understand that. And then I would do more singular examples. Like, a good example of this would probably be the Stormlight Archive. If I gave you a summary of the Stormlight Archive, it would spoil a lot of really good points. But if I'm talking about Kaladin Stormblessed, and I talk about how when you first meet Kaladin, he's this ridiculously just good sergeant that's looking after his men, trying to keep them all alive. And then the next time you see him, he's a slave running away. And then the next time you see him, he's a slave damned to duty that is effectively a death sentence. And you get to see how these events end up breaking him, and then he ends up being remade after. That doesn't spoil anything about the story, and it doesn't even spoil the moments about Kaladin. But it gives you enough of a, that kind of sounds fucking cool, I want to check that out, while not actually telling you what the story is about.
But I think this is where we find our monkey wrench. Because what you're explaining would be, yes, if you're interested in that story, you'd want to go pick up that book. But I think where the rebarb, and again, because he's muddying the waters, so to speak, it's one of those things where it's like you can't really pinpoint that with that. You can't.
Yep.
You can't find out what the story is, even to get to that basic point, all you're gonna find is a whole bunch of, haha, we're not woke, and haha, he's a Nazi racist guy, or whatever the fuck they say. The opposite end. And it's just that's how he got to 3 million, and that's where I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you got 3 million. I don't understand why you would need that much money to produce. You haven't produced the first fucking issue. Again, 3 million, I would think you'd already be in, issue 20, but
I have no clue what the market's like. I don't know how much money it takes in order to.
Well, all I hope is that his writers
I've seen
and artists,
comic producers produce comics for like a couple thousand.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, like I said, I have no clue what the numbers are like when talking about the industry. So,
well, in terms of
3 million sounds like a lot, but there are some industries that 3 million is nothing, and then there's others that 3 million. Holy fucking shit! You can plate everything in gold and good to go.
Because I think his initial start was something like under 1 million, so it wasn't even the 3 million mark was over. And again, I think it's more of a means to pay for the production of all the fluff that he's offering. My thing is, I hope that the artists and the writers and the inkers and the fucking, they probably did line artists because they're probably doing it all on digital, but I hope they all wrote themselves a good contract where they're getting a good chunk of that 3 million, as opposed to just hey, you were paid a grand to draw the comic and congratulations, you got a grand, while dude's sitting on 3 million because look at all these people, they don't like black people making comics for themselves and it's not woke and blah blah blah, and it's congratulations, you just participated in another BLM fucking movement. Eric July's gonna buy himself a nice mansion while you're sitting there with a
shit, I just noticed the time. I need to charge off. I should have dipped out a little bit ago, but I'll quickly say my goodbyes. You guys all have a good night. So, just to give my normal parting words, if you're passionate about something, make sure that you don't let it devour you. And have a good night, all. It was fun being on and bullshit.
Bye, Sanguine.
Damn. Well, I hope he made it out okay. How are you two doing? I hope the conversation wasn't too
I'm okay outside of being too warm still for this time of night.
Oh yeah?
I'm like, go down another 5 degrees so I can sleep, please. I do feel ashamed saying that too. I am gonna laugh though. I still am laughing though at our British friends who were like, oh my god, we had 41 degrees for all of but like 4 hours. And I was like, I sympathize with you. Because that's like, I think that's 104 in Fahrenheit.
Are they going to be...
So it does suck.
Are they going to be having a heat wave again next week, or...?
It's not really that. Like, they don't get that kind of stuff very often. Like, they do get hot weather. It's one of those things where you notice it more because you don't get it as often. But their infrastructure is not built for air conditioning.
I need to interject real quick. I am still here. I'm just parking a trailer right now, so I'm not going to be very responsive. So.
It's all good.
I will be a few minutes.
But yeah, my understanding is their infrastructure isn't set up for the warm times.
Yeah, I heard like the housing is not built, or it's built to keep in the heat for the cold winters or something like that.
Plus old. Like, not everything is old, but, you know. Yeah. But you know what? I sympathized with them for 4 hours, and then I was like, you know what? You only had it for 4 hours. Imagine having that for a couple days. Or months. That's why I'm happy with living where I am. Yeah, I get shitty winter, but I will take the shitty winter.
Oof, I don't know. You know, sometimes I think maybe I take extreme heat as opposed to when it gets really bad in the winter. But then again, I haven't. You know, I'm pretty sure you guys get some pretty gnarly winters as opposed to what we get in Chicago. So.
Yeah, it can be bad. It can be bad. But it has been worse.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I don't know. Around here, we've been having some crazy storms. There's been a tornado just south of where we're at. So that's always fun. But that always comes around when the hot air comes around, so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like you said, you got the humidity too. So you can't even cook an egg, because then you'd have, like, moist egg effect. I'm glad I'm not around children, because I would totally dare a child to be like, I want to see you fry an egg, but in humidity.
What?
Haven't you ever heard of that? Somebody living in such a hot place where, like, if they were to crack an egg onto the asphalt, it would cook it?
They say you could do that?
I've heard of it.
Is it possible, though?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll Google it.
Well, hold on. We gotta know somebody in England, at least in Europe, that they can try it while it's super hot right now, right? I think.
Okay, so Wilk found that a hot sidewalk might only get up to 145 Fahrenheit. Once you crack the egg onto the sidewalk, the egg cools the sidewalk slightly. Pavement of any kind is a poor conductor of heat. So apparently it does, but it's not even. You're not going to get an even cooked egg. But apparently, yeah, so you would need another heat source to properly cook it, but yeah, you get partially cooked egg.
Oh, jeez. You know, I bet you if it was cooked on like dark reflective surface, maybe. Some that really absorbs the heat, so as it's sitting there, I don't know. That's so weird. I was thinking about cooking eggs on the surface.
It's because I've heard it as a quote. I just wasn't sure if anyone had actually tried it. Apparently they have. Like, somebody in Arizona tried it. I was like, okay, Arizona I could see. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just nothing but hot.
And cacti? Yeah, hot and cacti. Oh, that's funny. Jack came back. Only for Sanguine to leave. Poor Jack.
Hey, he doesn't like Sanguine?
No, he just knows when to show up again, because that's when the stream ends.
Oh.
Yeah, he's always a little bit late. Or a little too soon. Sometimes.
Yeah, well, what does it look like? Yeah, it's about time. We'll probably end it right now.
Yeah, we kind of lost Well, Eve is parking her truck, so and I think we've run out of things to talk about. I mean, I could talk about shit going on.
You said something about a
but...
barbarian.
Hold on. We'll give Eve time to finish her maneuvers, but there was one thing I wanted to talk about. The one last thing I wanted to talk about. Have either of you seen the tweet about if you're okay with this design, you're okay with this design? And it was on one end, it was a female with straps on her arms and thighs, and then her breastises, and then the other one is the guy, and it straps on arms and thighs, but it's like the thing goes straight down his middle and right under his chest. And I get the idea, like, haha, if you're okay with this kind of design where it's just the straps across the breasts, you should be okay with this dude. But I'm sitting there, I'm looking, I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it makes sense for the lady with, she has boobs. She doesn't want boobs flapping around when she's fighting. So it looks more like a supportive thing, But with the guy, it just looks like there's no reason for it. It's like, it's not confining his chest. It's not even covering his nipples. It was like, it's just weird. And I'm sitting there like, I'm watching all these people like, yeah, totally. And then they start putting images of He-Man and like, yeah, this is the same thing. It's like, no, that's chest armor. That's a totally different thing. This guy just has a leather. He has that's BDSM stuff. This isn't the same thing. It's so weird.
What's wrong with BDSM stuff?
Well, nothing's wrong with it, but it just doesn't make sense in the context of what they're trying to. I kind of what I'm seeing, what they're saying is, are you okay with straps across the boobs to cover boobs? I guess, I don't know. The nipples could be somewhere else. It wouldn't be covering whatever. And you should be okay with this dude, but the dude, his nipples weren't even covered, the breasts weren't even bounded. It's just weird. It's weird. I say, if you're gonna be naked, just have him naked. There's plenty of old examples of art depictions of Amazonians battling with their breastises hanging out and shit. So I was like, yeah, just do that. I don't know. This is so weird. I think for me it was more of a design mentality was kicking in, where it was like, well, it makes sense for that, but for this it just looks like it would just be like a goofy anime showpiece type of thing. Nothing wrong with it, but I don't think it's the same thing. but yeah, I don't know. I think I just killed
You're
shit.
Fine. I'm technically still kind of on Twitter, and Twitter likes to show you things, and this time it was positive. And there's this aquarium in Osaka where they're training a baby seal how to swim for the first time. And
I
like,
saw
God
that.
dang, it's just all big eyes. It's so cute. Baby seal.
Oh, that was probably exactly the palate cleanser we needed. Because that poor little baby seal did look kind of scared when it was like, oh shit, water.
It's like, this feels weird. What is this? And it's like, oh, this is glorious. Oh, yo, babies are awesome.
Ooh. Well,
and
I think go ahead and end the show there. Did the two of you want to say anything before we head off?
I don't know that I have parting words the way that Sanguine does, and he's been doing that for 5 years, so he's got that spiel down to a T. But if I have any words of wisdom, try to keep yourself cool without being too cool. Don't just go into a pool though. Like, get some shades, wear some suntan lotion, drink a bunch of fun stuff without the booze because booze will dehydrate you faster. But have a shit ton of fun. Words of wisdom.
That sounds
I'm
good.
good.
Sounds reasonable, right? I don't know if Eve is still maneuvering her spaceship.
Always wear a condom. That's my words of advice.
Oh. Well, you know what, Eve? I'm really grateful that you joined. Like I said, it's been a while since I had the chance to chat with you, so anytime that I get the opportunity, I'll happily take it. And you too, Jen, you're great. No, Jen, I'm 100% glad that you joined. You were the pretty much saving grace, to be honest, for the evening. So thank you. But yes, for the people who are joining us in chat, I want to thank you for joining us in chat. Make sure you check out all the other shows on the Minions of the Zoo. Tomorrow, I don't know who's going to be hosting. I think maybe Quiz, maybe it'll be a sub. But then, we have a whole bunch of wonderful hosts throughout the week. And, yeah, so make sure you go check them out. That's it. I want to thank you all for joining. Both the panel and Sanguine as well. And chat that joined us. I want to say thank you so much. I love you all and God bless. And the zoo is closed. Thank you. Good night.
Hi, everyone.
Minions of the Zoo is recorded live on tape in front of a live studio audience.